Distractions are the hammer of Satan. Satan tempted Jesus with many, many things. And most of the things that he tempted him with were not that evil by themselves. But what the goal was to draw Jesus away from what his plans were. What did God have in store for Jesus? What was Jesus's purpose, right? And it didn't have to be a temptation. It didn't have to be a promise that was so big and bold. And it didn't have to try to convince Jesus to do something that would necessarily, something like committing murder or doing some kind of atrocity before God. All Satan had to do was to get Jesus to leave the path that God had set forth for him, right? And whole entire history would have been changed. Does that make sense? So if we look at that, of how simple the strategy was, all he needed to do was one little shift. And I talk about this in our series, Get Your Head Under the Boat, with any reason will do, any excuse will do to pull you away from achieving your goals or achieving your true potential. You only need one excuse, one little excuse to divert you off your track, to change the course or the direction of where you're going. If we look at this into a daily life kind of thing versus a spiritual part. So I know some of you guys out there, for me to talk about God to you, it's kind of like, oh, here we go, right? But let's just talk about this for goal setting. You have a goal, and on the daily, any one little thing or any one little decision doesn't necessarily make or break, you know what I mean? Like if you're having a fitness goal and you don't go to the gym one day, something comes up, you make an excuse, you make a reason not to go to the gym that one day, or you decide to stray from your diet for one meal. In that, does it become like the end of the world? No. But that one little decision, that one time you do that, plants a seed of, oh, this is now an option. And when I divert off my path for one day, and it doesn't change, you know what I mean? Like you didn't lose all your gains in one day because you didn't go to the gym. You didn't get fat or not lose weight or whatever it was, gain muscle mass because you had one bad meal. So what happens in your head that sets precedent that it's okay to stray for one day. I didn't mean to make that rhyme. But it's okay to leave the path because you know what? It didn't really do anything. And now subconsciously, right, you have that as now when I don't stay true to my goal for one time, it wasn't a big deal. So now what happens is you just set precedent that I could do that again and it won't be a big deal. And now what happens is that precedent, once it's set, then starts to drive and chip away at your goal, at your game plan. And now what happens is that starts to turn itself into a pattern. And then when it becomes a pattern, it then becomes a habit. Does that make sense? So that is what's going to be the make or break when you get to that deadline. What is the difference between the two champions, the dude who gets third place and the dude who gets first place? It might just be that one dude who got first place didn't leave the path all those little times when you made it 20 excuses along the way to leave the path and then come back, where that dude stayed on the path the whole time and he got different results by the very end when you're measuring it down to the little tiny nuance, right, of who wins and who loses. That's where all those little tiny decisions show. So this is not just a physical battle, right, of being disciplined. It's also a spiritual battle, right, of pulling you away from your full potential. Because when you don't reach your full potential, right, then you start to find doubts and all sorts of other things we'll get into in other talks, right, which creates distance and separation from God, right? And in this case, from a spiritual standpoint, all Jesus had to do was take that one little step and change the whole course of history, right? All it takes for you is to leave that course, and maybe that one goal you were trying to achieve changes your self-image, changes your patterns, changes your outlook, changes your habits, right? And all that kind of stuff. And it can make or break, how you truly perform and what you achieve and what God has in store for you for your life. So you might have something that's amazing in store for you, but you still have to go do it. You have to go get it. It's not just going to be handed to you. Does that make sense? So I hope that helps. A couple books if you want to check them out. One great book on this from a non-spiritual, just more of a, just a very physical, straightforward. There's a book called The Slight Edge, and that talks about those little tiny decisions on a daily basis, how they change the outcourse or the outcome of your life, right? The Slight Edge, check it out. Another one talking about the distractions in your life are one of the devil's best weapons from keeping you from achieving your true potential. And in this book, they refer to it as being drifters, right? The Satan wants to be get you tied up in stuff that doesn't matter and have you drifting and not achieving your true potential and not getting that relationship with God. The book is called Outwitting the Devil. Check it out. Very good book, Outwitting the Devil. So 2 books I recommend. They've been great help to me. Maybe they'll help you. Let us know if you've read those books before. Leave a comment below. Let us know what you think. If this helps out or you have ideas or anything that you want to share, whether you're in agreement or disagreement with what I'm saying, feel free, put it in the comments below. We'd love to see what you have to say about it.